North Korea vows to unleash unimaginable nuclear strike. North Korea states that UN sanctions are an act of war. North Korea and the United States hate each other. Is it possible to come to agreement to not use nuclear power, however? All this and more coming up next. Good morning, I'm your host, Tyree Galtney, and welcome to DDT News. I have a variety of topics to talk about regarding the US and North Korea today. The first one is the relationship between the two. We all know that the relationship between the two hasn't been good whatsoever, but today I have David and Drew here with me this morning to discuss it. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Drew, do you have any questions to get us started today?
I actually have quite a few. So my first question is, have we seen a change in the relationship between the two countries? Has it bettered or has it worsened?
Well, as of now, it seems the relationship between the United States and North Korea has gotten worse and tensions continue to increase. I see these tensions getting exponentially worse for the foreseeable future unless we do something to bring down the North Korean regime.
Along with that, I think the relationship between the US and North Korea is getting worse by the day. Constantly making comments about the leader of a country that hates us probably doesn't help either. I mean, seriously, calling the leader of a country Little Rocket Man? Like, come on, that's not going to end well.
Do you foresee a change in the relationship with the two countries?
I definitely don't see a positive change in the relationship, but I do see it getting much worse unless North Korea is stopped.
There will not be a change in relationship between the USA and North Korea until President Trump stops calling him Little Rocket Man, grow a pair, and says, hey, what I said was stupid, let's talk like men do, period.
So the main concern about North Korea is their capability of having nuclear weapons. Can we expect any nuclear attack in the next year?
I see that there is a possibility that one will happen soon, but it's hard to say exactly when and if the missiles will actually reach the U.S.
And the next year, I really do not know if we will see nukes. I do not know if we will ever see nukes, to be honest with you.
So, there was news recently that the U.S. and Guam have been preparing for a nuclear attack, like going over safety drills and everything. How scary is it that we are having countries preparing for one?
Personally, I think it is reassuring that awareness of the threat is increasing, but for others, especially children and concerned parents, I can see it as a quite scary event for them.
I agree with David. The fact that other nations is preparing for nuclear attacks is scary. If one nation decides to go for it and unleash one, I know for a fact that other nations will not hesitate to defend this country.
Should we take these threats of nukes seriously?
Absolutely, we should take these threats seriously. As of now, North Korea seems to be making empty threats, but we should not let our guard down.
I think we should keep their threat serious. Not so much that we have to keep, hundreds of missiles ready to defend ourselves, but just enough to have for a defense tactic.
One of the main countries in all of this is Japan, and we don't really know what Japan's role is. What should be their role?
I think Japan's focus should be on protecting their people, as North Korea has already proven to be able to reach Japan with their nukes by firing multiple missiles over Japan that all landed off the coast.
Now, a word from our sponsors.
Call 1-800-STEAMERS. Stanley Steamer gets carpet cleaner. Thanks for your input on that first topic, guys. But I also have another topic to bring up to you. How do you guys feel about the situation of North Korea claiming that UN sanctions are an act of war?
It's actually kind of frightening.
Honestly, I think it's kind of obnoxious that North Korea is claiming that UN sanctions are an act of war, as the sanctions are an act to prevent war.
But the main question is, are sanctions the right way to handle the North Korea situation?
Sanctions are the solution that are the least risky at this time.
Well, sanctions will help, but if they're claiming it's an act of war, how long will it be until they go over the line and send nukes our way? I think that's the main question, and that's the only problem I have with the sanctions. It's what will happen if they truly see it as an act of war, and what are we going to do about it?
How long can we keep on putting these sanctions on North Korea before we are forced into action?
There's no way to put a time frame on the sanctions, as there is no way to predict how North Korea will retaliate to sanctions. We have to remember that North Korea is very unpredictable.
I agree with David 100% on this one. I feel like there would just be a point where North Korea has had enough and drops the missiles.
What would be the outcome if North Korea thinks these sanctions are an act of war? Would we be fast enough to stop their missiles before they do damage?
If, and I am emphasizing if, North Korea believes that the sanctions are an act of war, then I believe that we would be able to stop the missiles before they do little to no damage. Then we would probably destroy the country.
I don't think they would take any action against the United States or any other UN member. And for the second question, it will depend on how many missiles they shoot off and where they target. If they shoot off their whole arsenal, then no, there's no way we're going to stop them. When we talk about North Korea, all we hear about is the government in North Korea. We tend to forget about the citizens. How can we help them?
The only way we can help is to try every other solution besides nukes. Nukes will take down North Korea as well as including the citizens. It would also affect South Korea, an ally to the U.S. Regardless of what actions we take, however, it will affect the citizens, but we can greatly reduce the impact if we move carefully.
David is on to something here. Nukes would not help anyone. So to help the people of North Korea, we would have to do something that does not involve nuclear weapons. One way to help them would be to probably expose them to what is actually happening on in the world instead of the propaganda they're used to hearing. Once again, guys, thanks for the valuable input. I have one more idea to spread to you before I send you on your way today. North Korea claims they have an unimaginable nuclear strike in the making. Do you believe it is something unblockable?
No, we do not have the reliable technology to block a massive nuclear attack. We don't even know if our missiles can even intercept one.
I believe that whatever they have brewing, we will be able to block. The U.S. is much more technologically advanced in every way compared to North Korea.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope you guys have a splendid day, and for the people watching, stay classy, stay sassy, and stay humble. It's been Tyree Gaultney joined by Drew and David, and this has been DDT News. See you next time.